Welcome to our second episode of Black Dance Stories. Here's a note about why we are here. Wait, first, welcome. Here's a note about why we're here. Our dance world was pummeled by COVID-19.
To our second episode.
And Black dance artists are finding ways to talk about life during this time. Our world was further turned upside down after horrible events ensued nationally and globally, bringing attention yet again to the need for the Black Lives Matter movement. Black dance artists have not been quiet since. Black dance artists have been doing the work. Black dance artists continue to make work. To stay involved, we hold these weekly impromptu discussions and tell stories, Black dance stories. This is one action, and we promise that we will stay involved. We are a community working together to support, uphold, highlight, and celebrate Black creatives. Tonight, as I said, is our second of what we hope will be many stories told in the artist's own voices. Tonight, it's Jamar Roberts and Tiffany Rea Fisher's turn. First, we have to do some introductions. I am Charmaine Warren. I am Jamaican born. I am the great-granddaughter of Ida Boyd, granddaughter of Solomon Goldson and Ruby Chapman, and daughter of Theophilus Warren and my 94-year-old mother, Pearline Warren, who lives in Jamaica. I am a non-disabled Black woman. I live in Montclair, New Jersey with my husband, photographer and graphic artist Tony Turner, on the stolen land of the indigenous Lenape people. Our daughter, Ashe Turner, a Black ballerina with locks, is going into her junior year at Boston Conservatory. I have locks that fall just below my shoulders, kente cloth wrapped earrings, and a green t-shirt. Behind me are photos of our family, a large plant, a lamp, and African masks. I am here with my friends, cohorts, homies, Kimani Fowlin and Nick Hall, because of my love for dance as a performer and because of all the gifts that I've received and will always share. I turn it over now to Kimani.
Hello, I'm Kimani Fowlin. I am coming to you all from the village of Harlem on stolen Lenape land. I am a Black woman and I live with my 9-year-old son. I am granddaughter of Lucille Madison, recently transitioned at 104. I teach because of her. Daughter of Ronald Augustus Fowlin, Jamaican warrior, and Anne Fowlin, Renaissance woman. I dance because of them. My son Tamayo keeps me present with the fascination of a blossoming young visual artist. So now I have the pleasure of turning it over to the guru of technology, Nick.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick Hall. I'm Haitian American. I was born in Brooklyn to Sheila and Curtin's Hall. My family, including my sisters Isabella and Victoria, now live in Montclair, which is on stolen Lenape land. I'm a recent graduate of the Ailey Fordham BFA program, and I'm in a white room. Behind me is a mirror and a Black drawing. I'm wearing a white shirt with Black patterning on it, and I'm the digital media manager for Black Dance Stories. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Kimani to give you guys some announcements.
So everybody, it's really important that we hopefully can support these wonderful artists that we have for you tonight, as well as Black Dance Stories. So we will put in the chat, you will be able to see a listing of the links that can show you where to find Tiffany Rea Fisher and Jamar Roberts. So please donate if you can to them and to Black Dance Stories so we can keep this story going. Here we also have wish lists that I just want you all to be aware of. We are working on a website. We would like to have ASL interpreters, blog, administrative assistant, official story archives, computer and streaming equipment. These are our big wishes. So please donate if you can. We appreciate you all and are so glad that you are here with us. I turn it back to you. Well, actually, Nick, one other thing. It takes a village. I want everyone to know, and our village exists of family behind the scenes. Cynthia Tate, who is our publicist. Gabe Decoladenu, our web designer, and Tony Turner, who is our graphic designer. We are so grateful for them. And now I turn it back to you, Nick.
So as Kimani mentioned before, we have information for the artists, Jamar and Tiffany. I just put it in the chat on the YouTube channel. So you can see their emails, their Instagrams, and their Venmos to donate to them. And also we ask if you guys could please put your names in the chat on the YouTube website so we can see who's watching with us today, because YouTube won't share who is watching unless you guys share it with us. So we'd very much appreciate that. And with that, I'm gonna give it back to Charmaine so she can start the episode.
Yay! We're so glad you're here. Really super dearly so glad you're here. Jamar, da ba da da ba ba. Here he is. Hi, Jamar.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
It's so good that you said yes.
It is very good that I said yes, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here and chat. Chat, thank you.
You're welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself so we don't do any more long introductions, and then we'll see what you want to talk about, what stories you want to tell.
Yeah, I am, I wrote a little something here just to kind of like stay in form. I'm Jamar Roberts. I am an African-American man born to Lorraine Roberts and Willie Davis. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I'm speaking to you from New York City in my apartment where I currently reside. Behind me is you can't really see it, but there's a photograph of John Coltrane because I love him, he is the ultimate. Here in New York, I am a visual artist. I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a friend, I'm a teacher, but my full-time job is dancer with Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater and resident choreographer. That's it, that's all I got, that's me.
Wait, we forgot this. And when Kimani and everybody pull your glasses of wine out or whatever. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being with us. So Jamar, I'm gonna throw this at you.
Throw it.
I'm throwing it. So I hear tell, as you were trying to tell me. Did you roll your eyes? Did you roll your eyes?
Oh no, I'm just kind of like waiting. I'm in anticipation of what you're gonna
anticipating. I hear tell that you're not really drinking wine tonight.
I'm not really drinking wine tonight. I haven't had a drink in a while. You know, I think when COVID happened, I took about, let's say in March, it started, maybe like the month of March, April, I kind of like did the panic thing, you know, grab the bottle of wine, eat everything you can, no exercise at all. Just kind of like, you know, survival mode. And then everything kind of shifted. And I had to grocery shop, something I never really do. And, you know, I bought meat because, you know, I was a carnivore at that time. And I was really confused about how to cook it. And so I just didn't. And so I just ended up cooking all vegetables. 2 months later, completely vegan, and alcohol has been doing a weird thing to my body. So I haven't had any alcohol. I have some water here. Kind of similar, you know, they're liquids. Cheers.
Cheers to the wine.
So yeah.
And then you have, here's another COVID thing, a birthday coming up.
I have a birthday coming up. I don't mind telling my age. I'm 37. I'll be 38 on July 27th, and I don't know what else to say about it. I think
What are you gonna do? What do you usually do for your birthday?
I usually try to like play the whole thing down and just chill out. I'm not really a party person. I do have friends that are like traditionalists, and they're like, "You are gonna have this party," and when your friends tell you you're gonna do something, you can't really turn that down. So yeah, something like that will probably happen with some friend, but I don't have any plans myself. I'm just gonna chill and just be grateful that I am here still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you're here with us. And one of the things you were talking about was it's rare to get an opportunity to get to talk about being in the process, right? Do you want to talk more about what that's like?
Yeah, I think the way that I learned to sort of, can you hear that? It's a motorcycle. Anyway, the way that I learned to kind of, I'm going to speak to dance making in particular, is just through the act of doing. So I never really, I didn't go to university. I didn't really study, composition in a very rigorous way. And so I never really developed a sense of community surrounding, dance makers and thinkers in dance. I just kind of was just doing on my own everything I needed to know, or I felt I needed to know. I would just go and figure it out. And so that's why I'm really grateful for this platform, because I'm here, talking with you and talking with other people that are involved, peers, people that are my age, that are just kind of here in this moment, making work and dealing with the world as it is in this present time. And I'm just really grateful for that. So thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. The other thing we were talking about yesterday was being a part of the Black dance community.
The Black dance community. Yeah. I'm like starving to be a part of the Black dance community. Just because I'm Black and I dance.
Yeah.
And so the more community, the better, is pretty much, the way I feel. And we all have different stories. We all have different backgrounds. All of our work sort of stems from a different part of us. And I think it's just a real treat to really come into other Black dancers, other Black dance makers, to just hear those stories and share those stories, because they really help inform my own, and to feel comfortable in my own story, and to like really take ownership of that. So yeah.
And you crave it. You said you crave it. So pre-COVID, what does craving mean to you?
What?
Pre-COVID, how did you satisfy? Okay, let me ask it a different way, because you said what? Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Did you get to satisfy your craving for being a part of the Black community? And if yes, how?
The way that I've always done that is with my Black dance peers that I dance with I have been dancing with every single day of my life since 2001. The dancers of Alvin Ailey. And also, just to like dive deeper into my practice, I always go back to, like I said before, John Coltrane, to Angela Davis, to Billie Holiday, to James Baldwin. Like these people I really feel a very strong connection to. I was gonna say I don't know why, but I do know why.
You do know why. Wait, did you say you do know why?
Well, yeah, I think we're all having the same conversation. I think to be Black in this country is there's a, we're trying to get liberated, you know what I mean? And so this push, this fight has been happening from day one up until now. And so I say that I know why, is because we're all in that effort to try and, get free. And so these people were very much on the forefront of that type of discourse, that type of, push.
Yeah. We wouldn't be here without a Mr. Ailey, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. So you're probably an old soul. Has anyone told you that?
I've been told. I actually think Sure, but I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but I definitely have a lot of love and I value very much a lot of my lineage and everything that came before.
Now, one of the things that I remember, and I don't know why his name is not coming to me, but you're going to help me right now. The music for Ode.
Don Pullen.
Don Pullen.
Yeah.
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 Why Don Pullen? Oh, okay.
Terrifying.
Expound.
Terrifying.
You expound. Wait, first let me say that Ode was the piece that you premiered on the Ailey Company last season.
Yeah.
Carry on. Terrifying.
Terrifying. Okay, Don Pullen, I guess you can put him in the jazz avant-garde category. I think if you want to speak in genres, he kind of really went all over the place. But in this particular moment, in this recording, I think it was in the late 60s. And the music during that time was all about the liberation of Black people, really trying to like use the music as a way to like empower Black people. And I think that's why I like Coltrane so much. I think all that music in that time, it has a certain like fire and it has a certain spirituality to it that is absolutely undeniable from the very first note until the last note. So with Don Pullen, I'd used Coltrane in the piece that I did on the company before Ode. That was the first time I had used his music. It was the first time that I had used a jazz score that had that type of like complexity and sophistication and that type of drive. And with every piece that I make, I always try to find some element of it that I can elevate, like go a little bit bigger than I did the last time. So what I wanted to do in Ode was to strip away all the instruments and just give me a piano. So I was going through everyone's piano, Keith Jarrett's piano, what's his name? Charles Mingus has a
Charles
piano,
Mingus.
Thelonious Monk, but nothing really like hit the spot like Don Pullen's that solo piano album. And I think it's the only solo piano album that he has. It was terrifying because there's a moment in this music where the discordance is just very discordant. It is, he's really trying to say something in this moment, and it sounds like he's trying to create every single sound that he can possibly create on this piano that had to do with conflict, with gunshots, with death. He was just trying to put it all into this one section of the music. And that was the section that really, really scared the shit out of me because I did not know how I was gonna handle that. And I actually sat on this music for a very long time. Like for me, I need the pressure of time in order to go. So I was just sitting there scared, just like, oh, I gotta be in the studio at such and such date to work on this piece, but I'm scared, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then something just happened, time kind of forced, or the lack thereof, kind of forced me into the studio, and I just kind of got it out. But it's really difficult. And it's also tricky to sort of interpret. I mean, when I listen to that music, I hear it as being someone else's words. So imagine if you're a public speaker and someone says, here are the lines of Martin Luther King, and I want you to take these words and I want you to speak Martin Luther King's words, you know what I mean, in front of the, thousands of people. So like you can imagine the type of like, kind of tension that there is there. And so I definitely, I do my work. I try to be as thorough as I possibly can. I mean, I'm researching into Don Pullen's life, into if the record was made in '68, I'm like, okay, well, what was it like in '68? Like, what were the conditions that sort of came about that even bring him to make a piece like this? And then after a while, I take it all and I shove it to the side and I just move. I just go. I'm a very sort of impulsive kind of creator. I like do a certain amount of research and then I go. And then I just try to embody everything that I've sort of consumed before the moment of creation.
And what sticks, right?
What sticks and what doesn't. And sometimes things just show up that you never plan on showing up. And the most I always know when I'm on the right track, when I feel like God is involved, when I feel like I'm literally getting like sort of like these little signs or like these omens as I'm working. Things are sort of like falling into place. It's like if I'm building, let's say, a ladder. If I'm building like a brick path, and I take the brick and I put it here, I look this way, I put the brick here. I look this way and I turn, but the brick has already been laid. So I'm like, okay, I'll just put this one back. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of things like that start to happen in the process that I don't even speak about. I'm surprised I'm even like talking about it here in this way because I'm superstitious about it. I don't feel like if I say it, then it's all gonna like go away and it's never gonna happen again. But it's very much like that. And I guess all of that to say, I don't know, all of that to
Are you
say.
a religious person?
No, I wouldn't say that I'm religious. I mean, I was definitely brought up in the church. Like I remember my cousins calling me church boy. Like my grandma would take me to church every Sunday and I would be up in there singing those songs. I loved those songs. And then I got kind of old, and I would just go for like the candy my grandma would give me afterwards. And then
I'm Jew.
she did. And then later on in like my early adult life, I definitely went through a very large stint of an exploration in different types of religion, from Christianity to Buddhism to Hinduism, just kind of trying it on and see if it fits. I think that that's a part of growing. So no, I wouldn't say that I'm religious, but I'm definitely spiritually connected, even when I don't even want to be. Really, it's just kind of like it's just with me.
That brick being there without you putting it there, right?
Yeah. I've been very fortunate in my career. I mean, not even before I even had a career. I think from the very first time I put on a pair of tights, there's always been so much support and so much guidance and so much love, like the entire time, even when I was like evil to people or like running out of the studio because I didn't want to, do a certain piece that my dance teacher was choreographing. Or I've just been really, really lucky, and I used to be afraid that the luck would like run out at some point. But it never runs out, and so I'm kind of getting used to that type of grace and that type of yeah, that's all I can call it. That feeling of, okay, no matter what I do, that thing that's been with me since I put on the pair of tights way back when is still going to be there to do its work. It may
it's
not
a happy place, isn't it?
Yeah, it may not be the work that I want it to do. It may not look the way that I want it to look, but I definitely feel very strongly that it is the way that it's supposed to be.
So post-COVID, how are you going to satisfy that craving, the Black dance community craving? Oh, wait, me too.
I'm just
Even
gonna
though I'm wine, not water.
make my Black dances.
I'm
just gonna continue. I am just gonna continue to tell my story and be integral to that. That's kind of all I can do. I mean, I've always been a person that's been the kind of like just, what do they say? Just do your work kind of thing, like blinders on, do your work, like super, super focused in that way. Even when I was not focused, I was just focused on being a mess, So So that's generally my rule of thumb, and whatever comes to me, and I handle it the best way I can, make good decisions, and that's it.
And that's it.
Sound
Do
like
you have a wish though? Do you have a wish to see, work with, or do something else with other Black choreographers? Collaboration, I don't know, out there within the.
I don't, but that's not to say that I don't want to do that. It just hasn't been in my realm of work. You know, at Ailey, we are on a very tight schedule. You know, we don't even. I have a friend. I have a friend here that dances for the Martha Graham Company, and I think I've only seen him. He's been in that company for 10 years. And I think I've only seen him dance maybe 2 times. Like the amount of communication and sort of connection that we have with other dancers is very minimal. We're very much very
So
insular.
maybe we
We're
got to
little bubble,
disrupt
and we
that a
just
little
like
bit.
go around, work if you dare. You know, we're we're really, we run a really tight ship. But I would love to actually.
Let's disrupt it a little bit. Let's disrupt it a little bit.
Any Black choreographers out there? You want to go? Let's go. I'm so ready.
I love it. Well, here we are in this community.
Yeah.
Here we are in this community. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you.
You can ask
me. Or what else do you want to say? How cool is it that you're here, first of all? Who said I'm shy?
I am, especially when I know there's a camera. I just want to I just want to do that. But I think I should speak on the moment that we're in right now, because I think everybody has some opinion about it. For me, I think that COVID has dealt a really shitty hand to a lot of people, but it's also dealt a less shitty hand to others. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. I've run into other people that I've heard say the same thing, and there's a degree of like, you know, guilt or something that comes along with that statement. But your life is your life, and so you just kind of have to move in it, you know, where it allows you to go. And if you have allowance, then of course you move. So I've been on the latter end. I've been very fortunate, but being in your apartment alone is, well, actually for me, is preferable. But, you know, it also comes with, this moment is really forcing us to sit with ourselves and to really ask questions that we've probably always asked ourselves, but we've never really given the time to like dig and find the answer. And I think for me, I've been really forced to do that in a way that starts to feel like self-care, or that it's sort of like this moment is really telling me that I need to take care of myself more than what I normally do. Like, I'm a person that gives everything to the work. Like, I will break my body in half for a step. I will, you know, stay in the studio for like 12 hours. Hello, Charmaine, you there?
I'm still here.
Okay. I will stay in the studio for 12 hours until I'm ragged and running out, like broken and sore. Yeah. But doing that for so long, it really takes its toll. I mean, I'm turning 38. That's not old, but for a dancer, I think it's old. And even if you don't think it's old, I feel that it's old. Like, my body feels that it is old. So I kind of feel like in this moment there's a lot of consumption, the consumption of the good and the bad, and I can only hope that post-COVID there is this type of I'm doing this with my hands. I'm thinking of like a flower. I'm thinking of some type of expulsion, because I think, I mean, for me, that's kind of my general way. I kind of like cook and I like stew and I just kind of like boil and I toil over things and then I make a move. So in some way, I'm counting on this moment. I'm counting for it to be very fruitful for me in the long run, but I honestly feel like that might be the case for a lot of people, whether you're stewing or not, you know?
Yeah. Oh gosh, of course, it's time to bring Tiffany in, and we could, do you see how fast that time went?
It went so fast.
Jamar, wait, me too with your water. Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi.
So this is for you two, and then folks, drop your questions in the chat box. We're gonna compile them and get to them later on, not too much later on. But this time is for Tiffany and Jamar. I'm gonna be quiet. And then, don't laugh, Tiffany. I don't know what you meant by that. And then Tiffany's gonna do her full introduction when Jamar goes away, and then Jamar will come back later on. But have at it, y'all. I'm here though. I'm not gone. I'm just listening.
Well, I love the fact that you were talking about black dance choreographers, and then Charmaine conjured me so that we can have this conversation, because
Yeah.
have never met, but it was so wonderful hearing your process. And one of the things that stuck out to me is that you were talking about the Black dance community, and you're like, I'm Black and I dance. And it's such a simple concept, but because there's so many parameters around what is Black dance, is it Black enough, that for me personally, it's taken me a long time to feel comfortable in the Black dance community, even though looking at it on its surface, that exactly should be the place that I wanted to be. But I had and I'll talk about this when it's my time, I had a very rocky kind of entry point into that. So I just wanted to stay there for a bit and just kind of get your take on that. I don't know. Big question. It's a
very big question, but I think that right now what I'm thinking, and it could be completely shit, but I'm thinking that Black dance is Black dance stories.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? It's dance stories told by Black people. Now, if you want to talk about form, if you want to talk about what that actually is shaped like, what that looks like, that's dependent on that Black dancer and that Black choreographer.
I love that, because I am in full agree. I fully agree, and I think that that's still, like, if we're talking about a community, I would say that that's a place that we still have work to do, is allowing us to not look at ourselves as a monolith and allow for space for each of those Black stories to strengthen and raise up our voices, which is a very interesting thing. And I think about as you were going through kind of your journey, and I was thinking about my journey and how different they are, but how valid like every experience is, as long as it's like filtering to this greater good. And the Black dance community it's something that is so precious, so like I cherish it, so it's so special, and
very special.
Really hard to put your finger on, like, this is what makes it special. But I remember down to the moment that I felt kind of the embrace, and I was like, oh, I've been working so hard to get here. Thank you.
This reminds me of a moment when I went to, I think it was the Bessies last year. And I think that Kyle Marshall performed with two other dancers. And I just remember thinking, wow. I remember thinking they were so beautiful. And this was Black dance, unlike, the lineage of Black dance that I come from.
Right.
But I remember just having so much admiration for it. And they smelled so good. I remember smelling like I remember this very clearly. It was like I was like cocoa butter was like wafting
Yes,
to
cocoa.
the place where I was standing, and I was just so so pleased with that moment during that time. And later on, I saw Kyle Marshall at a choreography workshop that Ailey hosted.
Mhm.
Still didn't talk to him really. We were in there trying to do the workshop, but I definitely introduced myself and told him I liked his work. But actually, that workshop was a moment where I was in a room of choreographers, period. That had never happened. I think this was probably, I don't know, I have very bad with time. Maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, probably 2 years ago. It was a really diverse group, but it was Jawale was teaching. She's kind of like teaching the entire workshop, and I absolutely adore this woman. So I'm just sitting there, just like a child, kind of like their favorite, aunt or something like that. She was so wonderful, and I think that was a moment for me where I felt like, okay, I'm really a part of Black dance community. There's a community here somewhere, and I like want to feel more of this. But that moment went away and didn't come back until right now. Other than dancing with my coworkers every day, I really must say that because they are some really fierce Black dancers, and I love them so very much. They're the most generous people. They give so much to me, and they give so much to the audiences that we perform for every single time. So I'm grateful for that.
I have one more thing that I'm currently struggling with that you brought up, and it's like this idea that the luck will run out. That just is an everyday. Do you know what I mean? Because like when you look at people's trajectory, it's not like it doesn't just do that. So like internally, I try
like running out.
Make sure that it kind of like does this on and up slope. You know what I mean? Like, but like being able to ebb and flow. But it is something that, like, if I'm being honest, like grips me with fear at my core. Like the more successful I get, I'm like, what do you know what I mean? Like, what if, like, is it, I know it's not just luck. I know that there's like lots of other elements that add to it, but there is an element of luck to being successful just across the board. There are these inexplicable things that we chalk up to luck. And I'm just wondering how you kind of cope with that.
I embrace it. First, I want to say that sentiment comes from a type of trauma that I experienced by having a older half sister who's very religious. And she used to say to me, because I draw, I do draw, I'm a visual artist. And I was drawing and I was dancing really heavily at the time that I was sort of with her. And when she said this one thing, she said, if you don't use your talents, God will take them away from you.
Oh.
And I was young. I was like very young at that age. And she would say a lot of things about, apocalyptic things in the Bible and like, oh, the times are coming. And she would like really sort of
like that. Did she say it with the reverb? Because I like that.
She did it. But like I just remember having so much fear of like God, that he would do bad things to me. And in this case, that he would take away my talent if I didn't use it. So I always felt this pressure to like, oh, I got to do this talent. I got to use this talent. I got to use this talent. I could never, let anything go unused. And that kind of like drove me crazy later on. But how I handle it is by what I do now. It's like kind of, there's this saying I heard that says, keep your shadow in front of you. So I think I just embrace it. I think that as much as I put out that is received well by people and that makes me feel good and that sends me upward on my trajectory, I also keep very close to me that this all may not be here
right
next week or next month or next year or 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Some people see that as pessimistic, and in a lot of ways, it is. But a healthy dose of both won't kill you.
Realistic. That's real. That's real talk. That's realistic.
And if anything, that just makes me work a little bit harder. It makes me like really put my stamp on shit like really, really firmly. So just in case it goes away, you know that I was there no matter what. Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like how I deal with it, I guess.
Guess who's back to interrupt this fabulous conversation? Me.
Charmaine.
Hi, Tiffany. Jamar, let's cheers with Tiffany before you go.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. See you in a minute.
Cheers, Tiffany. What do I do? Okay, I'm going to mute myself. And I'm
So just a couple shout outs, Tiffany, before you do your introduction. Eva Yas Antiwa here. Laura Greer's here. There's so many people here, but I'm passing it on to Tiffany to introduce herself. Of course, I'm here, Tiffany, as you need me.
Thank you. So my name is Tiffany Rea Fisher. I am the daughter of Karen Ray Williams and Derek Ray. I have sister locks that are pulled back. I'm in a denim top and pink cat-eyed glasses. I'm currently in my living room in Harlem, which has always been a dream of mine to live in Harlem. So I'm very excited to be able to tell my story from that place. And I think that my story, I was writing down things to just kind of keep myself on track because there's so much to say, is one of like finding belonging, I think. And internally and externally that support that kind of internal belonging. So for me, I am a competition kid from the West Coast, from California. And I was in those competitions like it was my full-time job. Like that is what I did every weekend, everything. Like I got out of school at 2:45 and then from 3 to 10, Monday through Wednesdays, I was in the studio. And I know a lot of people have lots of feelings about competitions. I had good training. So that makes a difference. But what I loved about the competition is that because it was so rigorous and because I was able to understand regionally who was around me, I was able to get a very realistic picture of like what my talent level was. Because constantly you're getting people like, I was in the Central Valley of California, so I'm going up to the Bay Area and seeing what's going on in San Francisco. We're going down to LA and seeing what's going on over there. Arizona is like nasty with the competition. They're super good. So like going to Arizona, and then at the end you have nationals. So you bring in the East Coast, you're bringing in people from the South, you're bringing the Midwest. And so like being able to kind of judge yourself kindly, but like honestly at a young age was really helpful, because I think one of the things, if I can say like would be my superpower, is like, you're not going to outwork me. Like, I'm not afraid to sweat. Like I will just out sweat you at the end of the day, because that was something that was like in me early. And as much as I loved this form, I had no idea, because there weren't any models around. There weren't any role models. I didn't know that you could be a professional dancer. Like I had no clue. This was just something that I loved to do. It was something I was compelled to do, and my parents supported me. But when it was time to choose colleges, I didn't know what a conservatory was. I had no, like, I'm in the middle of California. There was no, I thought like I would go to LA, I would, continue with my agent. I would do like industrials, and like, like the Vegas scene hadn't hit yet. So like there wasn't, people were like, oh, at 21, you're done. So a lot of people from my studio, like super talented, became 49er cheerleaders like that, and so that I knew that that was not an option for me or anything that excited me. And a friend, there was three Black dancers in my studio. So my story is also one of usually being one of few or the only one my entire life. And so they I learned about conservatories, and I was like, what? Like there's places that people go and like study. Like I couldn't believe it. It was, I was so excited. And my senior year, I just completely blew out my knee, just like meniscus just shredded. And I missed every audition, like every audition to go to any conservatory, like all of the research, all of the everything. It was a wrap. Getting into schools, but couldn't make the audition. So SUNY Purchase, which was my top choice, like that's where I could just, there was something about being like close to New York, but not being like distracted by New York. I loved that it was like, I could commune with nature being from California, like having outside was like really important to me. They had one audition left, but I had to fly there. So my mom and I, we got on a flight, we flew there. I still can't bend my knee. So I still can't straighten my knee. So I do the whole audition in attitude because my knee is just not like weight bearing. But I wanted so badly, like this was my last like shot to try to do something. And so I spoke to the adjudicators and just said like, I'm the one that's like fresh off of surgery. That's me. I'm going to be doing my best. And we walk in and I have competition. I have like my hair like teased and things. I have jazz shoes on. I'm walking down the halls at Purchase and, they're like, what is happening with this girl right now? Because that is not the look of Purchase. But I was like, I'm ready to start my New York life. And we get in the room and they were very kind. They asked me to like take off my jazz shoes. And I was like, okay. So I roll up my little suntan tights and Carmade is dying. The 17-year-old Tiffany, like ready. And so Kazuko Hirabayashi walks into the room and she says, and everyone goes, like they start bouncing. And I'm like, what so I'm like, okay. So, but one thing that I'm a very good, I can mimic movement very quickly. So it's not even that I'm a fast learner necessarily, because I don't see steps like that, but I can mimic kind of flow. Like I can see things as a big kind of swath and I'll fill in the blanks later, but I can mimic. So I just that I just was like, Tiffany, open it up. So just open up those senses and just out the side of your eye and we're moving, great. Okay. It's all happening. Okay. So that happens. We go into the solo part of the audition and I'm just like, look, sir, earlier to what Jamal said, I'm just about to break my body for this audition. So we'll figure it out. In that moment, I came out of the audition just in tears because I was just I hurt so badly because I gave it everything. And I'm still in I'm a week, 2 weeks out of surgery. But I was this was my chance to get to New York. And New York had been my dream since watching Sesame Street when I was 3. So I was like, I have to get to New York and this is my school. And in that moment, in the audition, they told me that I had gotten a scholarship and I had gotten in, they told me in that moment, but I didn't believe them because I wasn't able to do my best. I didn't do my best because I didn't have it. So I was crying to my mom and she was like, what happened? And I was I couldn't, my body wasn't there for me. She's like, what did they say? And I was like, they gave me a scholarship. And she's like, what? And I was like, they gave me a scholarship. And I was like, I didn't deserve it. There's better dancers. I didn't do my best. And she was just so kind. And was like, it's okay. You'll come back when your body is strong and you'll show them that you deserve it. Fast forward to September, first day of classes at Purchase, I blow up my knee again. It just was but what that did for me is because I couldn't be in classes and I didn't know anything. And people are coming from Idlewild and they're coming from LaGuardia and they just take all of this knowledge for granted as if it's just air. They're just breathing in all the history, all the legacy. And I had no idea who Martha Graham was. I had no idea who Lester Horton was. So I went to the library and I read and I read and I read and I read. And one of the things that period did for me is that I've never, and I want to say this the right way. It's not that I've never felt patriotic, but if we go back to this idea of belonging, I've never really felt super proud to be American because America didn't seem to be super proud of anything I was doing. So what modern dance did for me is it allowed me to feel part of an American art form that had a legacy, that had Black stories in it. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna do that with my life. Like, I'm gonna be a modern dancer, and that's what I'm gonna do. Like, and so I just kept reading and I just kept reading. And like over this winter break, I went home and just like kept reading. And then I came back and I had a little bit of the leg up because, you know, after the, you know, that first year for freshmen, when they come back for that second semester, they're wiped because like the conservatory training is serious. But I was ready. I was off of PT. I had a new like way of living. I was like, I'm here for it. And what was so exciting to me too is that I had my first Black professor ever, Kevin Wynn, right? Amazing, Kevin Wynn. And he used to call me Flea because I have very quick transitions and I can jump very high. So like and I don't think, it wasn't until years later that I realized what that did to me, because I didn't realize that outside of my home, I didn't see anyone on the front of the room that looked like me. It didn't matter if I was at church. It didn't matter if I was, my family's super Catholic. So like, you know, it didn't matter if I was at church. It didn't matter if I was at school. It didn't matter if I was at dance school. There was nothing reflecting back at me at all. And so it took me a long time to figure out like how empowering that was, because Kevin also gave me my very first paying job in New York City. And that I am always forever grateful for that, because my very first paying job in New York City was at Lincoln Center Outdoors. Major. Like that was, and I was like, and for someone who had dreamed of this, right? And like, I did it. Like in my head, I was like, box checks. I'm a professional dancer, everyone, in New York City, in case you didn't know. I did it. Secondly, who came in, who was a master's student at the time, but then ended up teaching us was Michael Blake. That was the second Black person that was reflected to me. And what Michael Blake was able to do is that when they were looking for his classes at Joffrey were becoming so big that he needed someone to kind of share the load. And he brought me into Joffrey Ballet under his wing. And anytime there was an opening for a teacher, he kind of just like slid me in every time, slid me in until I became faculty, which was like those two moves from those two men really launched. Not only did they give me confidence, but they got me in places I would never been able to get into. And because everything was so new to me, you know, like I wasn't from Idlewild. I wasn't from LaGuardia. Everything was brand new. I didn't know what Lincoln Center Outdoors was. So it's like this extreme education that was happening to me. And I just think that as I was dancing, as I was getting part of this, you know, this dance field and like this ecosystem, I was so excited to join Black stuff, because I was like, there's more than just me. Because even at Purchase, I was one of 3 in my class. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not, I think there was 3 of us that made it towards the end. There might have been some in the beginning, but like, you know, we started off at like 60, we graduated 15. Like it was meant to weed out. So there was 3 of us that graduated at the end. One who I'm still very good friends of and who is now running the program at ASU in Alabama. So that James Atkinson. So he was my ace. He was like, we were at the same audition. He was like one of the first people I met when I came to New York, and we were still just thick as thieves. Is like, as I was trying to like find my way, what I was coming against was like resistance, because of like how I had got here hadn't been through kind of traditional Black pipelines. And I didn't realize, and I think in retrospect, this is something that's important and really good, but those are shored up. Like they are looking out for theirs. And I think I appreciate that now, but as someone who was trying to get in, that wasn't one of theirs, it was impossible. And it was so discouraging, because then I felt limited in where I could go. And then where I did go, I was judged for going there because it wasn't Black enough. And I'm like, well, you're not. So what am I supposed to do? So that was really, really challenging. And I expressed this to Miss Ann Williams of Dallas Black Dance Theater, because she had become a mentor to me. And I called her and I was like, just so frustrated. I was like, you know, this is what I'm experiencing. I don't know. I'm going to all of these Black dance companies to set Elisa's work, who's an Italian-American choreographer. Amazing. Like, her work is bananas. But like, I'm going there, people are seeing me and they're like, yes, we like you. You're choreographing too. We know you're coming up. Elisa's about to retire. She's named you. And I would submit work and they'd be like, it's really beautiful, but like, do you have anything Blacker? And I was like, no. And it was really hard to say no, because I'm like, this is the piece that I want to make. This is what's in my head and heart. And this is what I want to make. And so it was really interesting to hear that, like, what they were deeming Black wasn't, as Jamar said earlier, coming from necessary Black source. It had more to do with style. Right. And so from coming from purchase, that's not right. That wasn't necessarily the aesthetic that they were looking for to fit kind of the Black dance spot. So I was just heartbroken. And I was talking to Miss Williams, and she invited me to come to IBD. And I was like, I am absolutely not going to a place for more Black people to tell me I'm not Black enough. Like, I'm not doing it. And it's very hard. I don't know if anyone has told Miss Ann Williams no before. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, you have to get all of your gumption and be like, and then like, that's the task that you're doing that day. And then you just collapse. Like, but I was like, no. I have taken so much rejection from people that I adore and love and want to be a part of. I'm not going to just continue to slit my wrists for this dream. I'm not going to do it. And she said, I'm hosting it. And what I want you to do before you have, you know, whatever feelings you're going to have about it, is I want you to fully participate. I want you to teach. I want you to bring a piece. I want you to sit on panels. I want you to and I'm going to make sure that happens for you, but you need to come and I want you to fully participate, and then we will have this conversation again. And so she's like, I will figure all of that out, but you need to raise the money to get here. But once you're here, I will make sure you have a class. I will make sure you're on panels. I will make sure. So I was like, okay. And I spoke to her and I was like, I can only bring a solo, but like, and it's not going to be, I mean, like, I'm bringing 2 people and that person will also assist me in my classes. And, you know, it was amazing. And since then, I've been going to, I'm part of like IBD Kohai. I've fully been into it since Dallas. I went to LA and did that one. I went to Dayton. I did that one. We went to Philadelphia. We just finished that one. So like, I've been part of it, and I've taken her advice of like fully, and there's lots of, you know, I feel now, I think especially with Kohai, because it's a cohort of 30 companies, getting into Kohai was one of those moments, because it was a specifically Black cohort for artistic directors and executive directors. But what you had to do to be eligible was identify as a Black organization. And that meant that your dancers could be Black, or it could be Black led. And that distinction changed everything for me, because that, or it could be Black led, gave the window just as much for me to come through, because in our mission, it talks about what the dancers need to look like and that they need to be from everywhere. There's no iteration of this company where everyone is from the African diaspora. Yeah. Mission-based. Like, that's not what the mission of this company was. It was to bring all sorts of people together. And so as I took over the company, I honored that. And that's still what the company looks like. And I'm very proud of that. But what I really love is that didn't keep me out of this space that I so badly wanted to be in, because Denise Saunders Thompson, like my absolute guardian angel, opened it like that wide, just enough for me to like kick through. And I'm like, here I am, like we're doing this. And I think what I was able to bring to that space was because so many people in that space are legacies of the founding 5 or came up through I was able to give voice to those Black dancers that didn't. I'm like, we are screaming to be here, guys. Like, all we want is to be here. So it was really helpful to be able to advocate for people for Black people within a Black organization, which I think that like people don't really think about. Right? Because I'm like, no, there was no, like, if it hadn't been for this like one conversation with Miss Williams, and it hadn't been for this other separate one conversation with Denise, like that wouldn't be. And they were so receptive. And, you know, we're like, you're right. Like, again, we can't think about this as a monolith. We can't be like, we're going to focus here and who we've known since they were 6 and just ride that train, you know? So like, in retrospect, I love that it's such a tight-knit community and that they fight for like their own. But I also love that now there's a pipeline for those of us that, you know, it wasn't like I chose to not be around Black people. This is where I lived. It was a very white and mainly Latinx, Mexican. I'm in California, in the middle of California, in a farming community. Like, that's who's there. It wasn't like I was rejecting this. So, you know, it was really wonderful to be able to have that, like, and feel so fully like encompassed by it and embraced by it. And it's like my favorite conference every year now. Like, I look forward to it. But what happened like right after that is that, again, once you become one of theirs, they really take care of you and they speak on your behalf. So I got a commission from Dallas Black Dance Theater. It was my first major commission ever. And Miss Williams took the chance on me and she allowed me to do a piece that cost a lot because I wanted to do a silent disco and like do a like people could like a choose your own adventure. And she backed me and she was like, whatever you need, like, I'm here. And then from that, I was able to get commission from Harlem Stage for the Harlem Centennial Celebration and create whatever I wanted through Monique Martin, which was like, I literally ran around Harlem Stage. I had my meeting with Monique and I had to excuse myself because I told her, I was like, I thought that I was coming in to talk about maybe like a use of space, maybe one day or something. So when she laid out the idea that I was there like as a commissioned artist, I didn't know that. And you have to be very blunt with me because I don't make assumptions. Be like, Tiffany, this is what's happening, or else I might miss it. And I don't want to make assumptions. So once I processed like what was happening, I told her, I was like, and I was supposed to see a show there that night. And I told Monique, I was like, I am so grateful. And I was like, and all of my words will come in a thank you note, like within a week, but I have to leave right now. Like, I have to go because I was so full. And I literally ran around Harlem Stage just screaming because, like, for me, I felt so excited that I was living in Harlem during the centennial of the Harlem Renaissance. Like, that alone, I was like, I've purchased property. I'm a homeowner in Harlem as an artist for the Harlem Centennial, Harlem Renaissance Centennial. So that alone, I was like, I'm living my best life. Nobody say nothing to me. Like, I thought that was as good as it could get. So the fact that like the blackest organization ever during like the blackest event that's happened in the last 100 years is like, we want you to say something. I had to like just run and scream. I just had to run and scream. I could not, my heart was so full because this is all I ever wanted. And to have, you know, like I don't read reviews of my work. So I don't like, that's like outside pressures and or praise and or can be challenging, but like just being seen by an organization like that, and specifically Monique, forget it. It was a wrap for me. And then that was soon followed up with a commission for Dance Theater of Harlem to create a piece about Hazel Scott. So it was like, you know, when I was speaking to Virginia Johnson, like the amount of gratitude that I had, the amount of like, I'm still processing, and every now and then my husband, Matt, just gets you, I just scream. It's still these three things. It's literally nothing else, just those things, like being seen by people that look like you, doing real work in the field when that hasn't been your everyday is an experience that it's like, I cannot explain it's why I wake up. It allows me to wake up. Do you know what I mean? Because like now I'm carrying all of those things with me, and I have a support system. So when I have an issue, I can just call, like Virginia Johnson and I have just AD calls every other week. And even though we're different generations, we're still like taking over from founders, and we talk about that as colleagues. This was someone, like when I read Point Magazine, I told my mom to stop giving it to me because like it was too white. And she was like, do you know who the editor-in-chief is? I was like, I do not. And so then I renewed my subscription because I was like, you know, because I needed to find models then afar. And so the fact that that's now someone that I have every other weekly calls with, like, again, like no one can talk to me because I'm just living my best life, like every day. I'm like, everything's amazing. You can't, like, just walking down the street like this, middle of a pandemic, just like this, like, you know, so it's an amazing thing. And I think through dance, I found my place. Like I found my patriotism, I found my Blackness, I found my meanness. And that, you know, as a choreographer, you really understanding who you are, what you're about, that's all you have. Yeah. There's no outside, nothing coming in. It is you all day, every day, in your head, doing the thing. So really understanding who that person is and being proud of that person and feeling support for that person makes an absolute like difference in what you feel you're capable of doing. And there's nothing I don't feel like I'm capable of doing. And like right now, just to give you, and I know we have to wrap it up, so I'm just gonna say like right now, so these are the things, like right now what I'm working on, because I feel absolutely invincible, is that I'm working on a city council campaign for Corey Ortega, who's in West Harlem. I can't even vote for him because I'm in Central Harlem, but I'm telling you, like, good for anybody is good for all of us. So like I'm working on that campaign. I'm teaching my creative tools class, which is a choreography class and steps that I've been doing for the last 8 years. I'm gearing up for the Elisa Monte Dance Summer Series. That will be virtually online. I'm guest lecturing at Dartmouth about art and activism while working on a dance piece for Dartmouth. I'm working on currently organizing 2 marches, one for International Dance Day and one that will be an annual event in Seneca Village for Juneteenth. I'm attending a 3rd rally, the March in Washington, absolutely have to be there. And then I'm working on my Bryant Park series because I curate for Bryant Park. And then lastly, I'm getting my company ready because for the World University Games, Elisa Monte Dance will be representing the United States because in 2023, those games will be in Lake Placid, New York. So wow. We're looking for companies that look like what the United States actually looks like. And so for that, I'm going to be choreographing that cultural exchange of the flag and everything between Switzerland, where it's going to be in Switzerland in 2021. And then in 2023, it will be in Lake Placid, New York. So this is, I mean, and I get to say and talk to you, Charmaine, like amazing. This is why people can't say nothing to me. This is why, like,
stop it. But how true is that? They can say something to you. But listen, I took a lot of notes because I think we need to tell people, and we're going to open this up for questions, y'all. Keep dropping the questions in, but and help me. Kevin Wynn Collective. I'm not sure if the company still exists, but that was the name of Kevin's company, right?
Yes. Yep.
The Founding Five. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Ann Williams, but who's there now?
Melissa Young.
Melissa Young, and that's Dallas Black.
Yep.
And Lula Washington Dance Theater. Cleo Parker Robinson. Oh my gosh.
Blondell.
Denise Blunden.
Yes.
Right? But her daughter is now. Oh boy, we just had a pause.
We had a moment. We'll get it.
We'll get it. But the mama of all mamas, Joan Myers Brown. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Auntie Joan Philadanko.
Yes.
And of course, you said her name. Denise Saunders Thompson is the CEO and executive director of the IAB, the International Association of Blacks in Dance.
Yes.
Y'all, like Tiffany said, I reached out to Denise. I said, Denise, Black Dance Stories, we're getting some money and we need to use it to pay for the Zoom and pay for all this operational stuff. We need a fiscal sponsor. Denise said, of course. So announcement to come up on, about that, but
Geraldine.
Geraldine Blendon, thank you.
Yes, we got it.
Monique Martin is at Harlem Stage and Emus, and
yes.
COVID stopped you, right? You were supposed to do that with Diane McIntyre and all those folks.
But,
right?
you know, but again, Monique had me and she was like,
that's right.
Committed and we're gonna bring it back.
Make it work.
2022 and 2021. So I will be there.
And Dance Theater of Harlem is DTH. Virginia Johnson is the artistic director, and big up Anna Glass.
Amazing.
Executive director.
Yes.
Come on. All right. Where are you, Jamar? Come on in. And Jamar, you have to let us know if we missed any names or stuff and all that we should mention. And now this old person.
What'd you say?
Did we miss any names or, because I just went through a lot of names.
You're good. I feel fine about everything that just happened. Tiffany.
Yeah, Robert.
Game.
We need to, Robert Battle is doing what he's come on now. That's a mothership, the Alvin Elliott National Dance Theater. We got the funk. Hey, that's a mothership. Na 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 na. Ooh. Sorry, y'all. I was listening to Vernon Reid the other night. Okay, so now it's time to look at a lot of these questions and give some. A lot of questions. A lot of questions. Eva Ya Santewa. So it might be questions and comments, but part of the reason. Wait, Laura Greer asked, what inspired you to dance, Jamar? Laura Greer at the Apollo. How can we not mention Laura Greer at the Apollo?
What inspired me to dance? Yeah. I saw some dancers. I was in visual art. I was painting in like 6th grade. There was this holiday performance where all of the arts disciplines in the school had to come together, put on an assembly. I was in visual art. We went up with like berets on and we like showed our little mural that we made. And the dancers came out. After that, I sat back in the audience. The dancers came out and I was just like, I was gone. I was sold 100%. And I like changed my major like very shortly after that. But according to my mother, I was dancing since I was a child. She told me the story maybe 2 days ago. She said I was wearing a green and white striped shirt. She took me to see my grandma and I just kept dancing. And she was like, this boy must think he's real cute because he won't stop dancing.
I love it. Okay, so from Ava, again, some of these might be statements as well as questions. Eva Ya Asantewa, what's her title? The Big Shot Curator at Gibney, the mama ship, just saying. Yes. Part of the reason the community is actually fragmented, people are seeing only the people most immediate to them and not the range of what the dance field has to offer. Boom shaka. Does either of you have anything to say about that, or shall I just keep going? Because that's a lot.
I think it's like anything else, you have to push to see, like you already know who you know, so you have to make an actual effort to go outside of your comfort zone, outside of your network, outside to see what else is there and not rest easy with whatever is directly in front of you is the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And another point, we are not monolithic in our aesthetics or ideas, also from Ava, right?
Yes.
Representation and support matter so much. Elise Bernhardt, oh, Elise, you're out there. Tiffany, what an amazing story. So glad you told me this. Laura Marchese, what a great story. Loving hearing this. Alicia Gregory says, wow, the power of community. That's what we're doing, y'all. Such nuanced parsing of such a complex situation. Get it, Tiffany, from your fellow Harlem neighbor. And that's Kimani, part of the Black Dance Story team. Somebody asked, where is Seneca Village?
So it's in the northern west part of Central Park.
part.
So it was an African settlement that got bulldozed and put away to make room for Central Park.
Oh, okay, there you have it. Matthew Levine says, this is awesome and amazing. Danny G!
We have to pause for Danny.
Pause for Danny. And how about we all adjust? Can we talk about what your interactions with Danny has been? Jamar.
Oh, I think I just saw her. Danny G, are you there? Did I just see you? I saw her at where was it? I see her all the time. But there was some event recently where I saw her. I can't remember, but she's always so supportive. Every time.
And Danny G, for those who don't know, curates for Summer Stage, but Tiffany, anything about Danny?
Oh yeah, I was on a call with Danny at 4:00 today before coming here. Danny is like, she's the #1 supporter. Like, she's like, what can I do? So I'm on a call with her because we're both summer presenters. So she started a call for summer presenters to come and just share and for us to grieve what was and to reimagine what could be. I mean, she's everything. So, and Aaron from The Joyce brought up that when I tell you that every call I was on, this conversation got brought up, I'm not lying. Aaron from The Joyce was like, hey, just so you know, this is happening tonight. And Danny was like, I'm there. And here she is. She is a woman of her word. Absolutely.
Aaron Maddox, The Joyce. Aaron Maddox. Okay, Danny says, beautiful testimony. And from Ava, Monique Martin and Virginia Johnson could be huge, but they could be huge egos, but they are not. I know they are wonderful, down to earth. Down to earth people, wonderful leaders. Amy Casello. Oh, Amy helped us out, Tiffany. Amy goes, Debbie Blunden Diggs. Thanks, Amy.
Debbie Blunden Diggs. Yes, thank the gods.
Thanks, Amy. Amy's my cohort at BAM. Boom, shaka, Amy Casello. Speaking of support. Tiffany, thank you for your Black dance story. What a beautiful journey. I'm moved by your words and perspective. Valerie Rashawn says, Tiffany, your story sounds like a fairy tale. Love your enthusiasm. You're amazing. Alicia Gregory says, after growing up in a mostly non-Black community, how do you go about finding a deeper connection to your Black roots in college after graduating? Oh, that's a big one.
I have a special connection to Elisa. So do you want to start, Jamar, on that one? I can answer it, but
I think that's specifically for you.
For you, it's specifically for you.
I didn't go to college.
And why? Wait, but why, Jamar?
Because I wanted to dance, and I knew that when I graduated high school. So I was like, I ain't going there.
And so I was a college professor. I say was, but I kind of sort of still am. And it's a thing, though. It's a thing. Dancers go high school. I'm skipping college because I want to be on the stage. Mm-hmm. And you're glad you made that decision?
I am.
Yeah. Congrats to you, because look at you now.
Tiffany, go for it.
I mean, I feel one of the reasons, and this is not, Elisa is an absolutely stunning dancer. But when I was thinking about what I could do and what I could do in COVID, I was like, I can hire Black people. How about that? Like, I have jobs, I have contracts. I can hire Black people. And what I'm hoping in doing that is giving them a reflection of themselves the way that I didn't have. And being able to share my story of like, this is how I was able to connect that and give that all to them so that it happens in moments instead of years is my hope. And to be able to, like, you know, I say that like my resources are your resources. So that outside of that, and make no mistake, like Elisa will outdance anybody. It wasn't like, oh, let me find a Black, like, no, she was the one. I've had my eye on her for years and she's the real deal. But like when I really thought about, we have a current campaign with Elisa Monte Dance of what leadership looks like. I'm like, girl, you need to pull the trigger, because leadership looks like, you know, like believing and supporting your people.
Yeah.
that's one way that leadership can be very, very real. And I hadn't, I reached out to her just to see where she was in her process of just COVID, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And I just reached out to see how, just like as a young Black dancer, how she was coping. And in this, I was like, you're going to hire this person. Like in that moment and in that conversation, I was like, she's getting hired. Like so at the end, I was like, just check your email. May not be contracts in there. We'll figure it out. But like, yeah, I'm hoping that by walking the walk and being able to because I come in, as you know, Charmaine, kicking through doors. I don't enter gingerly.
I know this.
So we're here. So like, once we're here, that to be like, great, now that we're here, look, like bring them all forward, bring them all forward, so that I can just kind of step to the side and let them do their thing.
And Jamar just put the charge out too. Come on, Black choreographers, right, Jamar?
Come on.
Come on.
It's time. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Like that, ready.
Right there.
I mean, that sounds like some kind of like challenge or competition, but it's really not. I don't want that tone to come off in that way. I mean, like, let's share.
Yeah. It's time. I know, as you were saying earlier, Jamar, I want to speak about this time and Black Dance Stories, Kimani, Nick and I, and Cynthia, it's what can we do at this time? And let's take advantage, right? Let's be together. Absolutely. Monique Martin says that she wants you to recreate the Running Around Harlem stage, Tiffany. Oh my. and of course, Danny's loving all of us for giving her some love. I think we could take a little moment and give some Ava Ya Asantewa some.
Yes.
I'm gonna answer my door. Sorry.
What'd you say, Jamar?
I have to answer my door. I'm so sorry.
Oh. You're supposed to tell nobody to come. Go answer your door, but tell them they have to come say hello. That's too funny.
I tell you that Ivawa has been on my top list of if I can just if I could just be breathe the same air, I would be. I got an email from her connecting me with another dancer, and it's again, you have these people in your head, and when they actually again reach out, you're like, oh my God, because it's everything. And what she's been able to do at Gibney, unreal. And only she can, you know what I mean? Not everybody can just come in and be hey, let's alter, this is it's like turning course on a battleship. And she was like, we're gonna right this ship.
That's right. But before this time, before pandemic number 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jamar, I almost forgot your name, Jamar. What? Laura Greer wants to know tell us more about your journey. How did you find your way to perform with the most celebrated dance company in the world? And you're muted, Jamar.
Hi. My journey. Wow. I got pretty much all of my training up until I was up until my junior year of high school. I got it all in magnet school. Magnet schools of South Florida, middle school, high school, just trained up I had no money to pay for lessons. There were 2 really special and really influential people that really helped push me up here to New York from Miami. One of them is a woman named Angel Fraser Logan. She basically taught me about how to really dance from your from your gut, from the bottom of your shit, what dance is about. She taught me that. I mean, technique, I was all wrong, but she really taught me how to connect to that heart space, you know what I mean, to really be really impactful in the way that you communicate as a performer. I started going to New World School of the Arts my junior year of high school. There I met Peter London, who was a principal dancer for Martha Graham Dance Company. This guy, he basically just put the finishing touches on the, on me and just sent me on my way. He and Sylvia Waters are really good friends. He's also really good friends with Judith Jamison. And he was just I have someone here. I think you'd be interested. I'm sending him up. And so I went up and never really went back down to Miami. I mean, I go to visit from time to time.
I was gonna say.
I go to visit from time to time, definitely. I still teach at that studio where, you know, Miss Angel teaches, that first woman that taught me dance. But that's kind of how it happened. And like I said before, earlier, I've been very lucky. Everything has been extremely smooth for me. If anything, I'm waiting for the hard time. Like, I'm just like waiting for the earthquake, you know?
I don't know if this is, first of all, we need to give some love up to Monique. Love up, Monique Martin at Harlem Stage. Love up. And Laura Greer, of course. Love up. But Monique asks, how do you all see collaboration between institutions post-COVID? And do you see us moving away from exclusivity? That's a big question, Miss Monique.
That's a big question. Collaborations between institutions.
I think what's been interesting for me right now is that like I don't know if this is happening with you, Jamar, so I'd be curious, but like with Elisa Monte Dance, we don't own a space. So I'm constantly like renting. But theaters have allowed me to come in by myself with like another camera person to kind of work some things out. And like I'm speaking with one of the ideas that I was talking to Bryant Park about is like, if we can't have our season, can we turn it into like a creative residency? So I think that like reimagining the use of space, not just from a frontal performance point of view, but as like use. Like, how can it be of use to the community is something that I'm interested in. With some of my marches, IBD and Dance NYC have come out in force as far as supporting me with sign language interpreters and like flying people in to talk at my events. So I've been very lucky. Again, I worry, you say it's not going to run out, Jamar, so I'm not going to.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that's at least for me how I'm currently collaborating with institutions. But I don't with Ailey. It's I would imagine it's a whole different ballgame.
I mean, to that, I would say if institutions aren't collaborating now, they're not going to collaborate post-COVID. I think that now is the time to collaborate. I mean, look at us, we're here. So, I mean, who knows how much longer we're going to be in this, but I think now is the time. We've definitely have been in communications with like ABT and other teachers for a company class, for example, from other companies, they come and teach us class. I mean, that is one way that I've seen our company collaborate. But of course, there's so much more room. It can really go bigger and further than that, and it can really branch out into below 14th Street.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And
yo.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. It's your story.
Well, I was just gonna say it's interesting to think about institutions because the people that I reached out to directly for collaboration right away during COVID were politicians. Because I was like, for me, I can march all day, but if it doesn't end in legislative change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting shift, I think, to think for me personally to think about what presenting organizations or other institutions, because where I've been putting my kind of collaborative energy has been with different politicians, specifically city council and congressional is where I've been putting a lot of energy. So I'm excited to think more deeply about what institutional collaboration could look like between artists and dance companies.
I should actually mention the Guggenheim. They've been extremely awesome to me, and they've championed me they have been championing me for a while now. I think I've done about, if I include Ailey Works in Process, if I include, I've done about 3 or 4 works in processes with them. And I'm grateful for that space and for that opportunity every time. And I definitely see it as a collaboration. I'd never know like where it's gonna go from there, but I definitely benefit from it 100%. Working process is like wonderful. I mean, and I can only speak from my own personal experience. I don't know what anyone else's is, but I'm really grateful and yeah, very grateful for their support.
Y'all, it's 7:30.
Oh man.
I know. Oh man, wait, who was at the door?
UPS.
Oh,
They never ring that much. I don't even know what that was about. I thought somebody was like,
yeah.
they needed to get in the building.
Somebody saw Black Dance Stories and said, "Oh no, I gotta find Jamar." Well, there's so many questions. There's lots of people in the chat. Kimani, come back. Nick, come back. Dang it, we have to say goodbye. Dang it. Oh,
No, I wish we didn't have to.
I know.
Awesome conversations, y'all.
Mm.
So, are we raising our glasses?
Raising our glasses.
Friends watching, raise your glass. Here's to us. Black Dance Stories, you guys are amazing.
Yes, cheers.
Fair.
So again, just to remind everybody, we have Nick, the guru, the technology guru, will be putting in the information so you can find these fabulous people and the work they're doing and support them, especially during this crazy time. And also Black Dance Stories at Venmo will be there as well. So if you can, awesome. And we are so glad you're here. Charmaine.
Yes. Well, wait, Nick first or me next? Nick?
I think Kimani covered everything.
I covered it. Charmaine.
Okay. All right then. Well, I hate to say goodbye, but there's more. Next week, what? It's Cynthia Oliver. And Marjani Forte Saunders. Y'all, please, I can't emphasize how much it's such an honor to be able to have these talks, these stories, and support our Black Dance Stories team. But every one of the artists that have said yes to being here have said yes for $0. So if you can support them anyway, do so. And us too in the best way you can. But we're gonna be here. This is one action and we're determined to stay here. And I hope you will join us next week. Cynthia Oliver and Marjani Forte Saunders.
Can I also add, before your final goodbye, that we are on YouTube. So if you would love to see this episode again, because you missed something, or it's just so awesome, I got to see it again, you can see it on our YouTube channel. So just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Do I leave completely? I press the red button that says leave.